everybody, to another episode of the DNVR Rapids podcast. I'm your host, Mitchell Carroll, a.k.a. Merchel, a.k.a. Back in Studio B, baby.
I thought you were going to say the cream of this beautiful Oreo.
The cream of this Oreo here. You had to be there last night to get it, so I won't explain it. Go watch the drawing room from last night. It's a beautiful day in Denver, Colorado. It is hot as hell. The Merch Cave AC is broken, so we're chilling up here, and we're gonna have a nice little show. First, we got to talk about my guy, Super Yaya.
Oh man, I got caught up looking at myself on this monitor.
It's tough,
I'm like, I
know?
look so good, and then just got choked up.
It's right
I couldn't
there.
breathe anymore.
It's right there. It looks good.
I never see myself in this beautiful light. Studio B does great things to me.
Look at this. I mean, they're up. It's super professional. This is way more legit than our Studio A.
Oh, we're actually doing things.
Yeah, it looks great. All right, enough about you. Juanners week rolls on, and it is our guy, Juanners.
What's up, guys? Thank you for having me again,
Of course.
dude. Last night was a fun show. We were talking about it a little bit before. Kind of a weird one too, with the half game.
Half game was weird.
So, we're gonna get weird now, I
Yes.
guess, on DNVR.
Yeah.
With some Juanners week.
Juanners week, baby. Yeah, we're definitely going to get weird. We got a lot to catch up on. We kind of talked about some of it last night. We're going to talk transfer window, obviously. More rumors, more players available. We're going to talk maybe a little bit about what Porg was speaking about last night, even though we kind of got into that in the post-game lounge, but I still think there's kind of
A lot more too.
there's a little more like time to process what he's talking about and how it relates to the club. And we're going to dig into, can this team have some 2007 Rockies magic? Not that I think it can, but what would it take for that to happen? I'm going to open this up though. Juanners, Yaya, whoever. Where do you want to start with this? Do you want to talk about the players in? Do you want to talk about potentially some players out?
I mean,
some targets. Where do you guys want to go with this?
I kind of want to save the players in because that is the most exciting.
Of course.
thing.
We'll do that second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's in a season like this, it's hard to be really excited about the games on the schedule, right?
Of course.
I saw that our first game back from Leagues Cup is on the road to LAFC.
Tight.
So it's
seems like a good time.
So it's like, man, like you start talking about the Rockies run. It's like we got some formidable opponents, right? But what kind of helps is the players coming in. So let's talk about potential outgoings. I don't know. What do you think?
No, yeah, I'm into that.
I'm the guest here. You know what I mean?
There was some talk about it online, and especially with your co-host from C38, Jared, I saw talking about it.
What's he up to? What is he saying?
So
Get the leash on that guy.
Porg last night was, and he's talked to us about it, but this was the first time he really came out and was like, I think showed his frustration with how the season has gone.
Right.
And show how his frustration has been with the players. And talked about specifically the opening of that St. Louis game and calling it the low point of his time here. And I don't think that's incorrect. Right? I mean,
I thought the low point came a bit sooner when you lose back to back against, rivals at home.
Sure.
I think that's the one I have not forgiven the team about.
The RSL games. Yep. Fair enough. But
I think you've
kind of
kind of to like Mitchell's point. Like, I think I know what you're saying. I think the losses though sting a little bit more.
Right.
But I think on the pitch effort, you saw that way like
in St. Louis.
In St. Louis, I thought that effort was like you didn't only say it from like the team that they lost. You can lose and still play with the effort and wanting it. But in St. Louis, you just saw that the team didn't want it. Like you came into that game and then you just felt deflated as you walked out to the pitch.
They didn't look into it. The players didn't look into it. I don't think there's been an effort problem on a team level for most of the season, despite the results. I do think they're trying.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're trying to force the wrong players into the wrong system. Right. I kind of described it as like, do you know Roll for Sandwich? Are you familiar with Roll for Sandwich on TikTok?
Like
the guy that rolls the Dungeons and Dragons dice.
Okay. No, I'm roll four is like a D&D thing, but
correct.
Sandwich.
So like there's a list of ingredients, right? And everything, like whatever he rolls for bread, he picks that bread, or whatever he rolls for toppings, right?
Okay.
And it felt like instead of rolling when he makes a really good sandwich, he rolled one that was like Pop-Tarts and barbecue sauce and Spam.
So that's the
And that's
Rapids,
kind of
you
like what
think?
this, and it felt like that's kind of what this season was,
Okay.
right? Where they were trying, but it was just the wrong recipe.
Wrong
You know what I'm
combination.
saying?
Yeah.
And I think the players kind of maybe have finally realized that in that St. Louis game, because they got their ass kicked for the first 30 minutes and they didn't look interested in trying to not get their ass kicked.
That's an interesting observation. I feel as though it's kind of hard to kind of fill in roles when you don't really know what the role you have. I think the team, for as much as it hurts them, want to be a very fluid, and like 1 week we're a 4-back, 1 week we're a 5-back, 1 week we have kind of double sixes, 1 week double eights. To their detriment, I feel like you don't really get like a strong recipe for success to kind of tie it back to the sandwich theme there. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, a lot of the times we talk about like who are some players that can go out, and I was saying this on the show last night. You can get rid of anyone, and then it would make sense. It would. There's not like
there's maybe like 2 players on the whole squad that you're like, why?
Yeah.
You can't move Keegan, in my mind. I think he's untouchable.
He's kind of like Gutman. You're always going to want a solid right back.
Yeah.
Just like you're going to want a solid left back. That's Gutman and Rosenberry.
And I think Yappy, despite his troubles, probably shouldn't be sold. I just think
young.
the potential.
He's young.
Yeah, he's 18. Yeah,
and they're not going to get, especially because teams around the league.
Yeah, what are you going to get for him?
Exactly,
like if someone comes by for like
You're not
50K, you're going to get
now.
50K in GAM. Literally, that's what you're going to get.
You'll get
Right
more than
now.
that, but
Right now, I think that's what you get because
Sure,
of performance.
sure,
Like it's
sure,
not
sure,
even because
sure.
they're not going to try
But
to
even
equate.
even still, like you'd hope the deal would be sweetened by another player. But
yeah,
there's
I
not
still
a player
just think
I
he's
would-
a piece that you can
100%.
have on the roster. He's
Yeah.
a giant target for late game situations. Maybe he can play next to
See,
Navarro.
I would
whatever,
agree, but
yeah.
I've seen games where he's camped out on the wing.
Sure.
So that's what I mean about
Yeah,
like
that's a good point with the roles. Where
the roles. It's like if Yappy is supposed to be the target guy, I've not seen it from his his heat map. You know what I mean? I see him a lot of like he is in the top 95th percentile according to Football Reference, in the top 95th percentile of like players taken on, right? So he runs at players like a winger. You know what I mean? He just doesn't have the mobility, the agility to really like hold it down and score, I think.
And I think that's the biggest thing. And I think it comes back to what you're saying, that identity part of it.
Right.
Yeah, they're trying to do what a lot of teams try to do when they're playing on the offensive side. They want a fluid front forward that can the winger can move in, and then the striker's going to cover that area, and they want that. But when you don't have a set of rules or instructions, or you don't have that identity that you speak of, it's really hard to get anything from any of these guys because they're not playing to the way that they need to play to get to the next level.
Absolutely.
And it comes back to that whole, you need that identity. You need to stick with one formation for now, whether that be the 5 or 4. I prefer the 4 personally, but that's just me. But it's like you just got to stick to that. Know how you're going to play with that formation. Then you can adapt those instructions and that style of play to whatever formation, which is what a lot of teams do around the world. It's not impossible. But first, you need about a year or 2 of creating that identity, creating who you are, instead of changing it every other week because you need to, not because of talent deficit.
Right.
I think we can look at, one, no Rubio all season, basically.
Yeah. And last season, no Jack Price.
Well, no Jack Price this season.
And neither this season,
right? So
for sure.
So I do, we can't know this, right? We're not in those meetings. But I'm sure going in, when you have a Jack Price and a Rubio that you can plan a season for,
right?
I'm sure the way the roster was built with intentions of those two playing a bunch of minutes.
Right.
And we got no minutes. So now you have to wait until this next window to really, which is now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you see a guy like Gutman come in. Okay, he's probably more of a wing back than a true left back.
Yeah.
Right? We also have Bombi and some younger center backs, probably looking at a 5-back.
Yeah.
Right? We saw Keegan push up a ton last night, like way up high.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you look at like football formations, right, there's kind of like a Venn diagram of like, one position has more of these, one position has more of these, but in the middle,
there's always
it's like the goalkeeper position, right? You need a solid goalkeeper to play.
Yes.
In any 4-back, 5-back, right? And I think Rapids are pretty solid there. They got two. I mean, they shouldn't have just one guy of the two between. Like if it's Yarbrough or Illich, make that decision now. You know what I mean? Because two guys on that contract, you don't need, a 300K goalie on the bench, plus. But I mean, right back, left back, those are players within that Venn diagram that are going to fit into no matter what system you put, right? Sure. Whereas like outside of Priso and Jack Price, we don't have any other six.
Don't have like a true defensive minded six. You have guys, who can play the deep line playmaker role, but you don't really have a true defensive ball winner.
Yeah. And that's the one thing, like, we talk about like, yes, the FO is planning to have Jack Price, right? But, I can excuse the Rubio one. The Jack Price, I don't know how you don't get a replacement for him or a guy just as good as him, because I always felt Ronan was to complement Price, not to replace Price.
Play alongside.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they both complement each other. And it's no doubt that if those two were in our midfield now, we wouldn't be.
It would be a playoff team. It might be battling for a home playoff spot. Like they would be maybe that kind of.
Probably still closer to play-in than home would be my guess. But
fighting for a playoff spot, it's either like 7 between 3. It's like you're fighting for a home game. And that's like a difference of like 5-6 points.
Yeah,
that's not that much of a difference.
Yeah, Price is here, you get those points. Exactly. You think of that unbeaten run that only had 2 wins in it, but was 9 games, right? Where it was just draw. You can't tell me that Price and Rubio don't turn those into wins.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, and that's why I can excuse the Rubio, him going down. The Jack Price, I mean, you knew he was injured last season, right?
Do you think it was because they thought Priso was ready to go?
I mean,
or we're hoping that.
I thought Priso was ready to go too.
Or do you think that they assumed Price would be healthy enough that you could ease Priso into the replacement role?
Well,
I don't think you plan on. If you plan on injuries, you're just going to get rid of the guy,
right? So, but I mean, for a team that already had a strong amount of center backs on the squad, to reinforce the center back and not go for with
Max,
who
you're not a huge fan of.
Max Chacon, Keita, Boubacar Wilson,
we still haven't seen a minute of Keita.
You know what I mean? Like, you have all these center backs and just one CDM. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how you don't look at that and address that need in the
squad. Should have been an off-season topic where you're like, can I trade one of these guys to go get us another CDM, somebody that can maybe complement Price. Exactly.
Right, yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about, depth. When I want to keep like Bassett and Acosta, it's not about like, I think they're going to be starter levels next year. Right. I think you got to plan for those injuries, and you got to have players that can just fill those times, because you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like, in a heavy midfielded, side, but I don't think we have that heavy midfield side enough to keep all of those guys on the pitch. You know what I mean?
You don't, but like right now, who else? You don't have any other midfielders. Priso, I think that's a guy that they want to keep because they. Got him in the max.
He's young. He's under team control.
I mean, any of the young guys, like, you could easily keep.
So
you know what I mean?
Year,
it's low cost.
Next year, what do you have? If you get rid of Acosta, you have 4 midfielders next year,
right?
Because Jack Price is a club option.
Yes,
probably not going to be
exactly. So you have Priso for next year. You don't have Acosta because you're going to get rid of him. You have Bassett and you have Ronan.
But I mean, what's Acosta's salary? Because then you get that to bolster another part of the field. You know what I mean?
What is he at right now? 150?
Acosta?
I'm asking. I just don't know what he's at.
It's got to be way more than that.
Acosta, according to Spot Track, is 675,000.
See that? 600. See, I wouldn't take him for that.
That's more than Barrios, Lawless, and Diego.
Yeah, I would not take him. Not even close for that price.
But I wouldn't take because he's playing. As the starter right now.
Jesus, man. Dude, you look at this Spot Track report. These are all the players making over 500K in base salary, right? Not guaranteed, whatever, not options, all that
like Maxo.
This is just over 500K in salary.
Mm-hmm.
Barrios.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Hasn't played much. Really at all, and when he has, he's been ineffective.
I'd take him for 300K.
Lawless, up and down season, fine. Would probably be how you grade out the season.
I'd give him a lower grade.
Maybe fine to slightly below fine.
Yeah.
Right? But he's making over 600. Diego hasn't played, makes over 600. Acosta, he was hurt for a little bit. He's on international duty. He's been fine. Good to fine.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Price makes over 750K. played what 20 minutes or something.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, like, and then
Maxu and Cabral, and we don't have to even say anything about Cabral because we know what's up with that.
And the Maxu and Price and the Rubio and Price one is kind of like excusable because like they're injured. You can't really like complain.
You're not
about
going to know that, but
exactly. Like,
even still, like Brian Acosta as a rotational center mid at 6 whatever,
That's insane.
6
that's
over
way
600.
too much.
That's a lot. You know what I mean? And like that's why I say like you don't need depth that expensive. Especially when it's around the league, especially when it's around still, people like knock on the super draft, but Duncan McGuire drafted straight out of college is now the leading like striker for Orlando. They hit on Kyle Larin, Duncan McGuire, and Daryl DK. So it's
all
like
from the super draft, like
all
so
from the
talent.
super draft. So there's talent there, and
I mean Bombi,
and Bombi, we've gotten it as well, but like with the mechanisms in place, Brian Acosta just seems like a lot to hold on to. You know what I mean?
Again, if I want him back, I'm gonna take him for $300K. I want half the price.
So.
And again, like that's what I'm not when I'm saying I want him back, I'm not taking into account contract wise because I'm looking on field production and what the team needs, especially because it's not my money. Like if it was my money, I'd look at it a little bit closer. But like you're right, like if he is gonna come back, it has to be at a contract that makes sense for the Rapids, not just something just to keep him around and give him that money.
Well, I mean, historically, the Rapids have always just been, that money ball team, And in 2021, it worked because you had a left back in Sam Vines on a great deal, Cole Bassett on a great deal. We're just not getting production from guys that, have that big tag on them, that salary that no
Cole's
one else.
actually still on a pretty decent contract.
That's why Cole's fine.
Cole on a good contract, Keegan on a good contract, Gutman on actually a really affordable contract.
Gutman was a steal. Like I don't know how people could ever look at Gutman and think, oh, just another defender. You know what I mean?
To me, it wasn't Gutman himself. It was more like I think it was the frustration of not scoring goals.
Yeah.
And to me, like now looking back, it was super irrational because I'm like, I should have just been like, good move. Let's see what else they do. But like in the moment, it was just more. I just saw red. Well, so that's not what I want.
The thing is, there's other people, and not saying you, but there's people that are like, why are we signing a defender? You know what I mean? And like sometimes like I was reading this book where. Sometimes when a manager brings on a center back for a striker, it's not to bunker, it's to let the fullbacks push up and attack, And when you have a competent fullback like Gutman, it's been fun. You know what I mean? It's been like the game
the
that
90
he was
minutes
in.
were fun. Like
that's a good point from Mark too. Is not only do a lot of these guys take up money on the cap, they take up roster slots, right?
Yes.
So like Mikey and I think Mikey is kind of the one that sticks out of those high earners on the team right now.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's a lot of money to be a rotation winger.
And not producing.
If you're not good enough to beat the other wingers in this group, you shouldn't be one of the 7 highest paid players.
And also like a very easy group to be. It's not a hard thing to do.
You brought up the D&D, like the roll for sandwich stuff. I mean, this team's just not like min-maxed correctly. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like there's a lot of stuff where you can like, chop down on a person's value there, here and there, and like, readjust.
Sure.
And maybe, the funds to acquire like is a striker like, Rafa would be like a lot more easily attainable if you didn't have Barrios on 600K.
Well, I'm saying if you could get rid of Barrios and you want to do the money ball thing, why not bring up Remy from R2? Yeah. He's producing like crazy. He would be dirt cheap.
Well, what does he play? What position does he play?
He plays winger and striker.
I mean, he's literally like
I saw him playing. I saw him listed as a defender.
No. I mean,
like a right back, left back.
No, he's been playing up top.
Yeah,
and
he plays in the top 3.
Yeah. So to me, it feels like why not? Like,
and that also doesn't bring up.
I mean, a lot of these guys.
He would be like probably under 100K for a salary for the senior roster,
and not just that, like. Hanya, who's actually
same thing.
Like you, besides just taking international spots, they're also taking like just roster spots that could be given to younger guys, opportunities to younger guys that might be able to go do something.
I remember in 2021 when the plan was to go with Sam Vines, right, as left back, and people are like, "Why are we going with Sam Vines?" And I'm over here like, this kid has proven it at Colorado Springs. Yeah. And in Charlotte, and now he's coming here, right? He's always kind of like we've seen tape. I think. Like a lot of these players you're naming off, like I want to see Hanya in USL. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like why
I want to
it's
see him
rough.
in MLS.
Well, I mean, we should get, we should see him a lot more, but we like MLS Next Pro is not a good, place to prove yourself as a young player. You know what I mean? Whereas USL, it makes a lot more sense.
Sure.
True, but the thing is that we've seen Hanya in the MLS. You've seen him a few minutes, and he held his own.
About
Like,
a half,
he really did.
yeah.
Like,
I think he has about 50 minutes played.
exactly. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against it.
Sure. Yeah,
It's just like for me, like if I was like bringing up a guy like Hanya, I feel like it made sense to bring up Sam Vines at the time when he did, and now to bring up to Hanya, like are we sure he's gonna like progress, or is he gonna end up like Yappy?
See, I'm wondering though if this season is right, like we've the theme of what we've been talking about now, especially with this window, is it's not about winning, getting into the playoffs this season. I mean, that would be nice, obviously, but it would take a monumental run. It's about setting yourself up to have an effective primary window in a few months, right?
Well,
So-
yeah, I agree with that. The club's messaging seems like sometimes it's not that.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I think the club is saying we know that we're not talented enough,
Right.
but we can start that process for next season now,
Yeah.
right? And the guys that clearly don't want to be here, that don't have the right attitude in training, that don't have the right attitude on the pitch, we can cut bait with them now. If that means we bring in big talent now, great. If it means guys like Hanya can get up from a R2 contract to a senior team contract and get minutes towards the end of the season, who cares if he's bad? Give him, I would love to see him get 300-400 minutes for the rest of the season. More, 500 minutes. Like, let him
we're in play the
play.
kids territory.
Exactly.
Yeah, and honestly, like, you have to start like putting the foundation for what's going to be next year, because
Yes.
you need to build that layers. Like, it's not going to be overnight. You build this great thing and you're ready to go. The end of the season is going to have to be like, how are you going to build it? What team? It has to be a culture shift, and not just from the players, but also from the team itself. It has to be like all the way from the front office to like the kit manager. Like, it has to be a full on culture
Right.
change of like, we're going to do things differently now, whether you like it or not. And sometimes what it takes bringing in young blood, because young blood will push the veterans. They will push the whole team forward. And like right now, you can't go and get like a 20-year-old from another place because it's going to cost you more money. Why not play the guys you have in R2? That's going to be the easiest route to go through because that's who you want. Like, why not bring in Adam Beaudry? Like, and just see what he has for a game. Just screw it. Like, you have nothing. What about Sebastian Anderson? Like, let him play the right back. He's been great in R2. Give Keegan a couple days, some veteran days, and get his body kind of ready. Push those guys, and the easiest way to push veterans is through young guys.
Absolutely. And they're cheaper. The fact that you're rotating in guys that make so much money is insane. And you nailed it. You nailed it earlier. Is like your rotation. Okay, Mikey's going to get 10 minutes. Well, do you know how much money he makes per minute this season?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
60,000 at that point.
He's making so much money per minute. It's insane.
It's like,
And so I think that, look, no one's going to say that like every move Porg makes is great. No one on this panel thinks that. I do think he's made some pretty good acquisitions. I love the Maxi move. I like the Ronan move. I like the Gutman move. There's definitely been positives and there's things to build. And if he can shed the bad stuff as much as he can now, and I think it just sets you up to fill those spots. We've talked about it before where it's like, there's a lot of players on this team that are good enough to not replace.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where it's like, do you need to upgrade Lawless and Wilson? No. Could you? Yes. But would you ever put that at the top of the priority list where it's like, those guys are MLS starters. They have experience. They're physical.
I mean, as a back two, they did so getting Maxa, right? My issue is, why do we have to play all three?
That's what I don't
You know
like.
what I mean?
I like the back three personally.
But
my point with that is this is the time where those guys that are good enough to not replace, but so good enough to keep and pay. Now it's time that you can now it's time that you can move on from those contracts.
I guess so.
They kind of show that like they're not good enough.
So who replaces those guys in the winter window, in the next summer window, can be a bigger or better piece.
I mean, if you look at the 2021 season, we had like value contracts and just amazing production from people like Sam Vines, right? Who was a homegrown. Cole Bassett, a homegrown. Austin Trusty came over here as a homegrown. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And like,
right now the homegrowns are just Yappy and Prizo. I think technically still counts as a homegrown.
Yeah, he does because he's from Toronto. It's kind of the trusty thing again.
And like you rattled off three moves that were really good, right?
Sure.
In Gutman, Maxo, and Ronan. But then I can also point to three that haven't been good.
Sure.
Yeah, you're 50-50
Like,
right
I
now.
mean, you have Leyva, Gersbach,
inconsequential.
and Cabral.
The
But-
Leiva one to
Gersbach,
me is
inconsequential.
But I mean, Leiva took up a spot, as we're saying. You could have played Hanya instead of Leiva. Like
Sure,
that's
sure.
what I'm saying is
But
like
I don't know the rules on R2 contracts and converting them like during
the season.
during the like end of that
During- yeah,
window
yeah, yeah.
or whatever. I don't know specifically how the R2 stuff works. I assumed we would already like Chacon got the promotion and then the loan. I thought we'd already see the Hanya promotion.
Yeah.
I thought that would already be locked up and done. I thought that'd be move one.
or
move
any of
one
the young, any of the young guys.
And move one was Gutman, which is that's a good move. Like
But
that
I
is a
think-
good. move.
But the thing with Hanya, it comes back to the whole Barrios thing. He's making too much money. You need to give him.
Sure.
You need something from him because of the money.
Yeah.
You also have Jonathan Lewis on that position. Like you have Calvin Harris, who you also brought in. We forget he got brought in from Cincinnati.
And
like,
I think he's on a budget contract too.
oh
And
yeah, because he's still like a super draft pick. So.
and I've loved seeing Calvin Harris spread the field out. I don't think, I think his
He's awesome.
finishing ability is to be a lot to be decided. But he's young, he's
a
fast.
kid too.
He
College, yep.
he embodies everything that the Rapids that I got into. Like he reminds me of a taller British Cerna.
Yeah, and,
That's
you know
actually
what I
a
mean?
really
and,
good
it's,
one.
and it's
yeah.
actually kind of funny because Cerna's the one that's kind of been coaching him down in
Oh, really?
Rapids
I didn't know
too.
that. See,
Like,
I didn't know
they
that.
have a closer relationship that most
Yeah.
people like. But there's the thing I'm kind of like,
And he's a GA guy too.
I think kind of to Juanners' point, because I'm like flip flopping here because both of you are making good points, and I'm just like, yeah, like I
Flipper-flopper.
well, like, but like it's true, like Leiva was a bad move because he took up a spot.
Yeah.
Gersbach, you haven't seen him, and it's a bad move because he took up a spot.
Yeah.
Sam Nicholson, like you brought him back, what, 2 transfer seasons, 2 windows ago?
yeah.
Yeah, and he still hasn't really like been
Oh,
up. He hasn't
God.
produced anything either. So like even
That
if you
was
do,
the one that drive me the
So,
most crazy. Of
yeah.
all the moves.
I
bringing Nicholson
liked it
back.
because I like Nicholson.
yeah, but there's the thing.
but I'm
that you-
biased.
Jesus.
When you look at it, you're like, okay,
Mm.
like these guys, even if they are like decent players, they're taking up spots from guys that might produce.
Yeah.
Like Calvin
Right.
Harris, you're taking up from Hanya minutes. You're taking up Remy Cabral. You're taking up maybe like like Bombi when he wasn't injured.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like you're taking up those minutes from guys that might become something.
Well, and I
Like-
mean, even in 2021, like we were told, like, I guess, like we, like generally, like fans were told, like, yeah, we are inviting people like Oliver Larraz to come, like, work out with us and do all this stuff,
Mhm,
and like,
mhm.
there was always kind of that integration.
And he's playing well with Artuna.
But you know, it's like we're at a point now where we got to see these kids play
Totally.
in a meaningful way, and not just rely on Seattle's like bench like people to
Right.
and because my issue with the Leiva thing is we can produce him, we can build him up, and then he can always just never come back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a really good
and like you
point.
had to eventually pay a fee. But the evaluation that he started out when you loaned him is going to increase if he had a good season, and if he had a
Sure.
bad season, you don't get him. So
It was always
Here,
kind of a
let's-
lose at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like and again, those are things that I don't think of as much. Like because I'm just like, yeah, I just want to see wins, and I'm like, if this guy's gonna come in here and give you something, I'm like, I'm all for it.
right,
And like, I'm not thinking like long term. Like sometimes I'm just like, what does this move mean for this team right now?
right.
Except the one time I didn't was like the Priso one.
I think you always have to think long term.
No, and that's true. Like, but I'm talking like right when that move
Sure.
comes through. Like I'm always like, what does this mean for the team right now?
Yeah, I mean,
Elway
like-
said it best, and not that he was a great GM. I mean, he did.
No,
build
he was a
Super Bowl
great
winning
GM.
champion, but he said it's not just about winning now; it's about winning from
later.
now on,
yeah,
Yeah.
right? And so,
No,
when you have a move like a Gutman, that's a left back, kind of seems like a bit of a luxury. It's a decent amount of money out. Not really; it's funny money, and it's like, oh, that is a move for from now on. Ronan is a move for now on, right? So
yeah.
I think
and there are those like I'll always tip my cap to those moves,
sure.
But there we had, I feel like in 2021 we made some of those moves from now on, and then they just did not pan out in
Right.
2022.
And I think the biggest thing for me of that was Acosta, Kellen. Acosta.
Mine was Max. I think Max having a down year last year, and then finally getting it together now, only
And
to
then
just kind of lose them to like the most unfortunate
To
circumstances.
the weirdest things ever.
Like
Weirdest
like
soccer story of all time.
I can always I can always kind of like be like, oh, that's rough, because like nobody wins.
Totally.
Yeah, like it
Let's-
wasn't even like anybody's fault.
Oh God, Matt. Let's Doesn't help that I'm like bald right now too. I want
just
to wrap up
creamy.
this outgoing thing with the Mark's question here. So thinking of next season, and I think this could kind of wrap up the shedding, not just this window, but potentially just at the end of the season. What should the Rapids do with Rubio and Price? Both of them have options.
Yep. Club options.
No. Rubio is
doesn't have
out of contract.
this is
Price
club
has a club option.
Yeah.
My guess is unless Rubio is out this window, he's going to go somewhere on a free.
I'm gonna go.
I know.
The Rubio guy.
Fuck.
You were right downstairs in Studio A predicting.
The 10-goal season. He ended up scoring 60.
And he had a great, yeah, of course. And he's awesome. But I just don't think, based on what is on the roster and what could potentially come into the roster, that he's going to be here. And Price he just missed 2 seasons with injury. Why would you pay him $750K?
Yeah, for me,
Buy to both of them. I'm sorry, but that's the nature of the game.
I always say, like, you brought up losing Kellen, right?
Huge.
The team got what they could for Kellen.
Sure.
Because Kellen was going to walk, right?
Yeah.
And as much as I hate the fact that we didn't replace him, I could like look at that move and be like, all right, you min-maxed the deal, right? You got the most. I was saying before the season start, I would not mind them selling Rubio.
They tried.
Because Rubio would coming off a 16-goal season
where he was awesome,
where he was
played
amazing,
several positions.
Yeah. I figured it's the Axel Huberg situation where Axel played out of his mind in 2016. They had an offer from AIK. They didn't take it. Axel comes back the next year being like, instead of like the towering Swiss, center back Swedish center back, he ends up having like rough years and he never comes back to his 2016 form. And so for me, I'm like, hey, Rubio hasn't done back-to-back seasons where he's gone 10, double-digit goals for the Rapids.
Right.
So for me, it was, if you think he can do that, keep him, right? If you don't, sell on the high, right? And they didn't sell on the high. And it's unfortunate that, he is now injured, but like any of the outgoing players that the Rapids make, I can always
justify it a little bit.
I mean, we talked about Mac.
Another great
night,
move is the Mac move. I was just going to say that was a big win.
Yes.
Huge win. Brings in Bombi, brings in Prizo. Whatever you want to think about Prizo, I think Bombi more than makes up for whatever you think there. Plus over $1 million in GAM. I mean, that was a win. Mac is not good. Mac got traded again.
And the biggest issue, and another big
we
issue,
talked about it last night.
Yeah. I mean, the Jay Crowder. Yeah. But another thing that we kind of with Rubio, I'd love to see him back because I think with Navarro, I think he's going to dominate. That's a creative 10 that can create something, but it has to be at the right price point, something that works for the team.
Right.
Price, I think, and we have a CFO over here. With a Price, again, I would like to see him back at a different price point. And the thing is, it's not, to me, Price was more important than Rubio for the one reason that I think Priso suffered the most from not having somebody teach him the position.
Right.
And I think Price plays that position perfectly. And if he can benefit, again, bench guy, I still want you to go get another CDM. I still want another defensive mid because you've seen what happens when you don't have that. The depth in the midfield, this should be your deepest position because that's the position that you need the most bodies in.
I mean, you look at San Jose this season, and they went out and got Carlos Grueso.
Grueso was the guy that you should have gotten last year, too.
Yeah.
That's the guy you should have been looking at.
I mean, Grueso on this team elevates everyone.
Espinosa's having a great season, not just because
he doesn't have to track back. He doesn't have to play defense. He can just,
beat Sounders 2-0 yesterday. That's what I'm like.
Yeah. I mean, they've only lost once at home. Sure. They are the 2021 Colorado Rapids.
Yeah.
Whether people want to agree with it or not. There's a little futures bet for anyone in case you were wondering.
My 2 future bets that I liked at high odds were San Jose and Columbus.
Those are
Columbus
good
can just score like crazy. Yeah. So let's transition from kind of state of the team, who could go out, how you kind of want to shape that, to in players, rumors in, players in, all that. But first, we have to talk about the homies, Shady Rays.
I love glasses.
I love sports.
We just don't have a drug. We just don't have a drug sponsor.
Yeah, no LLDs today. No LLDs. Take on the sun with gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered for the warm weather ahead with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. Are you guys expensive glasses guys? I think the most expensive pair of sunglasses I've ever owned is like $50.
My brother just dropped.
I'm a Walmart glasses kind
Love
of guy.
that. Yeah.
My brother, I think, just dropped. Him and his friend just dropped $450 on Burberry glasses.
That's insane.
And
Go
I'm
for
like,
Shady Rays.
and I showed him mine, and I'm
Yeah.
like, mine are way better and, like,
And cheaper.
they're
And they'll
than
take care
yours.
of you because they offer this insane protection where if you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. You wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after you purchase. Together with their customers, Shady Rays is providing much needed support to nonprofit partners across the U.S. through Shady Rays Impact. From building play sets for pediatric cancer patients to providing young adults with MS the outdoor adventure of a lifetime, Shady Rays is making an impact in your community and others like it now and for years to come. You can shop the entire collection at their brand new location, Park Meadows Mall, a full-stop shop for all things Shady Rays. If you don't love your Shady Rays, exchange for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code DNVR for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. We are also brought to you by Illegal Pete's. Bam, dude, we love Illegal Pete's.
So good.
I had it for lunch today on my way into the office. Illegal Pete's is not just your go-to spot this summer, it's our go-to spot this summer. Kick back and enjoy an ice cold margarita or cool off with a bucket of high noons. 5 high noons for $22. That can't be right.
What is that?
That's like a really good deal. That's like $4. That's like $4
Yeah, like
a high noon.
$4.30, something like that.
They can't be making any money.
25 cents.
Go
Yeah,
take
no.
advantage of this right now. Go down to your. There's 12 different Illegal Pete's. Tons of patios. They got misters. They got shades. They got tons of speakers
They got
outside.
reverse nachos.
It's
they
a
got,
vibe.
Which one? Which Illegal Pete's?
Well, I go to Colfax.
Yeah,
because
because
it's
it's
right
like
down
3
here. 'Cause
blocks
it's 3
away from
blocks
us.
away.
I live by DU.
Love the DU spot.
So I go to the DU spot.
Love the
right
DU
next
spot.
to the original Chipotle, but we ignore that. We go straight
So
to
I
Illegal
started.
Well, I don't know
I
what that
started
is.
at that Pete's back in the day,
Pete's. Nice.
almost 10 years ago now. I worked at downtown before it moved locations. I worked at Colfax. I worked at Pearl Street. I worked at Fort Collins. Been all over the place. If you're up in Fort Collins, any NoCo guys, that rooftop patio at Pete's.
They were trading you around like Kai Kamara.
Correct. I am the Kai Kamara. I was the Kai Kamara of Illegal Pete's.
His attitude just didn't let him gel with any of his coworkers.
He's the journeyman in Illegal Pete.
They the rooftop patio there with misters and shades, and you're overlooking Old Town Fort Collins. It is as cool as it gets. Follow Illegal Pete's at Illegal Pete's on Instagram to stay updated on all their big events and deals going down this summer. Stay tuned on their stories to win free tickets to the concerts you are dying to see. Illegal Pete's is here to make this summer one for the books. Illegal Pete's is your go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beer. Thank you,
Triple B's.
Illegal Pete's.
BBB Mark.
Yeah. Okay. No other ad reads. We can get out of these ad reads.
Real quick, before we get any further,
Sure.
I'm looking at Transfer Market and I was just like curious about what they had Rubio at.
Okay.
Like his price, $4 million. So
I believe that.
Like,
Yeah.
again, maybe a little bit less, 3 million, 2.5 because of injuries. But he has
You always got to remember those are overvaluations.
exactly too.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if you like, and
And
again,
whatever
it's
the
If
just
you
like,
were to
says
really
it is.
value him, I would value him as a $2 million.
Exactly
player.
like that.
He would go for $2 million in GAM.
yeah, 2 million. I think he would be one of those guys. He is a star player in this league when he's out there. In my opinion, he's an
Sure.
undervalued star player. But according to this, he has a German citizenship.
Yeah, no, his last name's Kostner.
Really?
Yeah.
Like I just never knew that. So I just
Diego
looked that
Rubio
up.
Kostner.
Wow, I did not know that. That's impressive.
Yeah.
He played in Spain.
He
which,
played
like,
in Spain,
I knew that.
Benfica, Portugal, then came back here to.
Yeah, and I knew that, but I just Sporting B
He
and all
played
that.
at
Like,
Colo Colo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a wave of fans that want him to come back there. I don't know
Oh,
why we
dude.
didn't just sell it.
but
$2
Colo
million,
Colo,
and he's all yours.
Colo Colo's not going to pay the $2 million price tag. That's how you that much. Isn't Colo Colo like one of the poorer teams? Like
No,
that are,
they're
like,
I have-
like the
I have-
best team in
I have
Chile.
Yeah, but
no idea.
they're bigger, but like they're still not like
Dude,
as
I-
rich. Like
Who
as
knows what
Don't
the
tell
money
me
is
about
down
the
there.
South
Yeah, no
American footy economics, bro.
Yeah, none of us know. We don't know. We
I
don't
know.
I do know that Brazilian teams get to sell their players for insane amounts of money to top 5.
That's because it's
leagues.
Brazil.
I know, but it's insane.
Yeah.
Endrick is 16, got sold for 65 million.
Yo,
That's
when
crazy.
when you have Ronaldinhos and Ronaldos and Rivaldos and Pelés coming out of your system and Vinicius, you can sell them for as much as you want because
Oh.
you just never know where you're gonna hit
Here's
again.
a question for you guys. Favorite one-name Brazilian names in soccer?
Oh, Bob.
There's a Bob?
Yeah.
Fernando Bob. He used to play for Minnesota United.
And
I
he
like-
just went by Bob?
Yeah.
And it said Bob on his jersey?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fred.
What?
Fred.
Fred is come on, that's my guy, dude. I love Fred.
Fred is kind of cool.
You got scored on by Fred. Eat it.
Just got
Eat
breaded.
it.
Not as cool as
You got
Bob.
Freded.
And Bob scored a cracker of a goal. If you look up his goal in MLS, he scored a banger, dude.
I
All
remember
right.
that
I'm
goal.
going to check it out.
Bobby Bob just got bobbed.
Max was a good one,
there's
too. Max is a good one, too.
Gilberto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another good one. He's MLS one. I'm trying to think of all the MLS Brazilians now.
There's a lot.
Ronnie.
Lucas.
Ronnie.
Lucas
Yeah.
was. Now he's
Lucas.
not.
But Luke, like, there's Lucas Moura. Like, they have their
Sure.
last names, but they go by the first name.
Yeah, which is
So
kind
you
of
could just pick, like, any first name.
Neymar. Technically, Neymar is also just a one name kind of guy.
That's
Yeah.
Ronaldo is too.
I mean,
like-
they're all D'Souza. Like, oh, you know the Brazilian player D'Souza? Which one?
Yeah,
You know what I
like pick
mean?
one of 20. Okay, so
Vida,
let's.
like that's another one I remember so much.
So
Sorry, I
speaking-
just got me in a
Is
roll.
Navajo gonna go by just?
Rafa Nueve?
That's what it's gonna say.
No, that's my nickname
Yeah.
for
Okay.
no.
I like Navagol better.
Navajo.
that's a good one.
I love that one.
The thing is, Rafa Nueve doesn't work if they don't give him the 9.
Yeah,
And I call him Rafa because he's, you
I
know.
was thinking new for some reason in my head instead of 9.
Oh, no,
I'm
Nueve
so
is
bad
9.
at- I'm so
Rafa
you
bad.
might be
Nueve.
German.
No, well, in Spanish, but we're talking Brazilian, right?
Yeah, Rafa Nueve.
Nueve is
Yeah.
new in
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Spanish,
yeah.
right?
I don't know. The funny thing is,
Nueva.
the funny thing is, I was learning Portuguese over the summer, and then I just have not picked it up from
Hey,
Duolingo.
He was Texas Viking. He was number 99, which I think is the coolest number in sports.
He reminds me
I
of
don't think there's a better
Bautista if
number.
he wears the 99.
That would be so sick.
I mean, Nathan Fagasa is also Brazilian for the Timbers wearing that, so you know.
It's such a good number. Any number in
is
the
a good
90s,
number.
I'm in on.
Shinyashiki have that?
He was 99,
No,
and then
that
he
was
then he switched
No.
to 9, I believe.
Yeah.
He was 99 his rookie season.
99 so much
had a
better than
whole-
9.
We
Yeah,
had
it
a
is.
whole jersey kerfuffle here. We don't need to dig that up at all.
I like the
There was-
99.
lines
It
crossed
reminds me a
in the
lot of
company
Boca
Slack.
Bautista and the Chivas back
Yeah.
in the Libertadores days.
Dude, we need a player to crack 3 digits here, like they do in Mexico.
It's not gonna happen. I think.
Wait, hold on. You're telling me on one team we could have 187, 311, 420,
Yeah.
69 on one team.
We could.
Yeah.
They put 3 digits in Liga MX.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Are
like
you
Santi Jimenez like
kidding me?
141 or something?
Yeah,
Like,
Santi Jimenez was like something crazy.
yeah,
dude.
like
If-
140
oh,
something.
and I refused to buy that shirt until he actually had a nice proper shirt.
Yeah, like because Santi Jimenez was a baller, bro, but he was using like 140 something, like a big ass.
Okay, Matthew asked this question, and then let's dig into some rumors here. Just for fun, in honor of For Denver FC, if you could draft one female player currently playing to the Pids, who would it be? Give me Trinity Rodman. Got that dog, dude.
Yeah, Trinity
No,
Rodman.
it's in her genes, dude.
Seeing her dad in here too would be kind of
Yeah,
fun.
we get
Dennis
we get
Rodman.
Rodman appearances at the Dick. I'm in 100%,
I
200%. Sign me up right now.
I don't know enough about the women's game,
Sure,
but Beth Mead,
sure,
Yeah.
yeah,
and she was going crazy during the Euros, dude.
yeah.
So
Sophia Smith is also great.
so
Yeah,
Beth-
Sophia Smith is like
her
Dude,
Haran-
I'm surprised I remember her name, but
Yeah.
Beth Mead
Good
is. And then the cover athlete Sam Kerr,
Mhm.
yeah.
she's crazy good too, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, Lindsey Horan is like right there.
Yeah, I mean,
That's-
she's in
you want
Colorado.
yeah, you want a midfielder.
Mount
you want somebody
Pugh.
that's
Oh,
gonna
Mount
be
Pugh, yeah,
Mount Pugh's
Mount-
another
Love
one.
Mount
Mount
Pugh.
Pugh is like a local legend though.
Yeah,
Like, I
like,
feel like
so-
everyone like knows them, and that's the easy one.
Exactly.
you
That's
know?
what I'm like. Those are I'm like. I want to win. If you want winners, those are your 2 winners right
Correct.
there. Like,
Yep.
those dudes know how
Beth
to
Mead
win.
scores though.
That's
He-
true.
I mean, I still
We need
take
goal scores.
Sometimes
Marta,
you just need a
just
winner.
because she's a legend.
Marta,
Another
no.
cool Brazilian
Yeah,
name.
great Brazilian one name.
I love that.
More Brazilian one names.
Have you seen that picture of that little girl that crossed out Neymar's name and put Marta underneath with a
That's
little
so
heart?
cool.
And I'm like,
that goes hard,
that
bro.
dude,
That's
that
hard.
shirt like
Yeah.
that goes. Oh, like that was one of my favorite pictures.
Zhao Paulo Kiyoshi says, wait, Navarro went to the Rapids. Yeah, bro.
You mean
It's
Rafael?
time.
Rafael Navarro. Juan Paulo.
Went to the Rapids.
João Paulo.
Actually, I'm really impressed by Juanners' Portuguese.
He said he was learning it.
No, I know, but like last night before you came on,
I was
talking-
explaining it.
Yeah,
the entire
he was
thing.
like reading something in Portuguese, and I'm like, this dude's telling, like he read something. He read like a
That's
sentence.
cool as hell.
He read something in Portuguese, and I was like, holy shit,
Bro.
I'm like, I just kind of brushed it off because I'm like,
wait, so
yo,
Zhao,
this
hang
kid
on,
is talented.
hang on. I want to ask Zhao. Okay, so give us, if you can just throw some comments in here. He used to play for my soccer team, Botafogo. Great.
Oh, let's go.
That's awesome, dude. Okay, so if you wouldn't mind, throw some, little scouting reports in the comments if you don't mind.
Don't
Just
throw
what
any
you've seen.
Brazilian though. Yaya's lying.
He-
I will not be able to read it.
If you could type it in English, your English seems pretty good. If you wouldn't mind just throwing a couple comments out there for us, kind of seeing where they're at.
I will say
But
yesterday.
yeah, Navarro's
Good
on
or
his
bad?
way. They're
Just tell
working
us
through.
if he's good or bad.
Real quick, back on Juanners' Portuguese.
Okay.
He read the sentence. I didn't ask him what it meant, so he could have just had beautiful pronunciation and just not know what it meant.
That's amazing. Thank you for watching, chat. We really appreciate it. Shout out to everyone else in the chat. Mark, Texas Viking, Matthew. I saw B-Ray in there. I'm sure I'm missing some people. I saw Buffs in there. Which is awesome.
Everybody on the 1 p.m. in
dude.
in Denver.
Shout out, man. Ricardo. Absolutely. The homies,
Ricardo.
all you guys. Good to see you again in the chat. Thank you for watching with us. Okay. Rumors. There's rumors. There's lots of rumors. It's silly season. It's my favorite season.
I will say my the knowledge of the rumors that I know come directly from Matt Pollard's rumor tracker. So
well, that's great.
Yeah,
wanted to shout that out a little
Of
bit.
course,
But
the homie.
tell us if you I mean, do we have any like last night? I don't know if people saw, but I dropped the big scoop that Mbappe was coming.
Ooh.
Do we have any progress
I
on
don't
that?
think that has legs, but we'll see.
has
Pogba
legs,
available
but they're
on
like
a
not
10
there.
million euro fee. That's the more realistic one there.
What is
Pogba.
I think that's
Pogba?
He's available for apparently 10 million euros.
Is this rumored to?
No, he's going to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
he's
to
already
Saudi
there.
Arabia.
Yeah, he's not coming here. And thank you for that. I despise him. The name that I have seen as available, and you guys kind of said otherwise today, but Santi Moreno, the Colombian winger for Portland, who basically just left the team, like was just like,
Well, he
no,
wanted to raise-
I
he
want
wanted to
I
raise-
want to transfer. I want a better contract. I'm out of here. Apparently he's back with his agent. That could mean working on a contract. That could mean working on a transfer. That could mean a lot of things. What do you guys think about Santi Moreno joining this wing group here?
Why? Well, you know, if Santi joins, he immediately becomes the best winger in the team.
Yeah,
above
sure.
a lot of the other guys on
you
there.
might sit down Harris and you just put Santi in that, and then you let Gavon on the right side.
Well, you would hope Mikey would probably be out in that situation. Sam's probably out in that situation.
Oh, definitely. Your best wingers in that situation, it's Gavon and Moreno.
Well, the thing at that point, I mean,
You have to play Cabral.
You touched on this last night. Is then you can allow Galvan to play at the 10.
Which is what we all want to see.
I think
that.
that's where you need him.
That's where I've been begging for him.
He's a creative player, and that's what they had planned for him. What I've
Although
heard.
Diego in the 10 was so good last year.
It also depends who's back. If Diego comes
Well,
back
I
healthy.
think they're two different players. Whereas like Galvan, really like he's the flashiest. He's probably got the most techers on the team, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Rubio is just gonna like hold up the ball really well, and he's gonna like muscle people off and stuff like that.
I love salty fans like that. That's good. That's awesome. Good for you guys. You don't have to. But I like that you're gonna like him. That's amazing.
That's like he are we getting the Carmelo Anthony of Botafogo? Are we getting the Carmelo Anthony of Botafogo?
Yo, I'm all for it.
Does that make us New York or Oklahoma City? That makes us Oklahoma City.
That makes us Oklahoma
Yeah.
City.
We're getting hoodie Mello.
Jordan
dude.
tat.
We're getting hoodie Mello. Let's go.
Which honestly, I've had this TikTok idea. If you were to pick teams, if you were to pick an NBA equivalent team, the Rapids would be probably close to OKC.
Except OKC has some of the best prospects in the game.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at the youth initiative and stuff like that.
Sure,
you know what I
sure.
mean?
Totally.
Just playing the kids.
Yeah. I like that.
That's where I would
I
make
don't
that comparison.
think so.
Zhao, Andre Shinyashiki actually played at University of Denver here in Denver and then was Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
in the MLS.
Shinyashiki?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Shinyashiki.
I never believed in him, honestly.
You never believed in Shinyashiki? Well,
You
that's
didn't
because
believe, get out of here.
that's because
I
they put him
told
on
you
the
this.
wing, dude, and that's
Yeah.
not his position.
And again, I was like,
And the thing is, when he came here, he said, I'd be willing to play any position they give me. I was like, no, you need to say, I'm a striker. I'm going to score the goals.
Sure.
That's what we need.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
And he did.
Okay, well, what other names, if Santi Moreno isn't in that?
Winger
other
or
names are
any
you-
on the team?
I mean, anywhere,
So
bro.
actually, I want to bring up something that
Like, are these like rumors, like who I would bring in?
So
or
actually,
like,
I
I
wanna
think a
get
little
into
bit of
that.
both. Have we heard that players are available? You guys were just talking about a Colombian kid.
So actually,
available.
Roger Martinez.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. That's something that I've poked around. I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard anything about
yeah, I don't
that.
know enough about him either.
Yeah, like,
I
I
wouldn't want him though.
I've heard he's a mercenary. I don't like mercenary players.
He's a
Those-
mercenary for sure.
I hate those type of players
I
because
don't
they
mind
never
it at
come
all.
in. I like players that play for the badge because they like playing. But before we get any further, I actually want to bring this up because I saw Juanners tweet that the other day at like 10 at night, and I started getting deep into it. He put some names out there that I thought were really interesting. Russell Canals,
Oh yeah, Knaus.
Hassani Dotson.
Yeah, Hassani. I mean, Hassani right now is being. I mean, I'll name them all because it's Knaus, Dotson, Anunga,
And you had one more.
and who's the last guy?
Derek Jones.
Derek Jones. Yeah.
Were the four that you brought up. And I started just looking at him, and you said Ananga is probably going to be the most obtainable.
Right.
He's on the bench right now. He's not really playing as much. But the one that I think you might agree with me that you really want is Hassani Dotson.
Yes.
That's the dream goal, right?
Right. Because Hassani's American. He can put in a tackle. He's not going to win you in the aerial duels, but you have Maxo right behind him. You have Wilson right behind him to win those aerial duels, right? He is currently the starter for Minnesota due to injury, but they have plenty of guys there like Curvin Arriaga, Will Trapp that are playing ahead of him, and he can play left back too.
Oh man,
Dude, Dotson
speaking
is
of
actually
Minnesota,
a baller,
bro,
dude. Like he's what? Like he was also a super draft pick.
That
Yes.
Pookie goal, he's so dope.
I didn't see that game.
Yeah, dude. I was watching that LMC one.
That Pookie goal was so sick.
Yeah.
So sick.
So those are my four for kind
Okay.
of strong CDMs you could go out and get right. I mean, Knaus lost his job.
Who's B-Ray talking about here with this Honduran DM? He says, we getting that Honduran
Isaac
DM. Our
Casillas.
guy.
We were talking about it yesterday. That guy, that's a baller, 20-year-old.
Oh,
That has the
I'm in on
Nashville.
that. I like that.
Yeah, that's a guy that. But again, I am on him. But then you're having a competition between him and Priso as young DMs. Then you also need to bring another one that can play that defensive role and kind of be ahead of them. Because how Connor said, you need a little bit of older guy. You need somebody that has that experience.
Yeah, I think Russell Knaus. I mean, he's not playing over Mateus Klitsch, Chris Durkin, or they recently got him on loan Lewis O'Brien, but O'Brien's now back at England, so they might play him now. But he's a guy that got sat, and he's like not bad at all.
No,
you know
he's
what I
not.
mean?
Like,
Like he would be a Keegan Rosenberry signing where you sign him and like you just put him in the lineup and he's penned in. You know what I mean? As a 6.
So out of those
This Dotson guy, I'm just seeing his FBref scouting report. Defensively speaking, he's 81st percentile in tackles,
And that's what we need.
87th percentile in aerials won, and 93rd percentile in both blocks and clearances.
I think all the guys I picked were top 20 in
He
tackles
was-
per 90.
bro, he was picked 31st overall. That's insane.
Exactly. He's the Jokic.
Bro, get me this kid. He's 20. I guess he's not a kid. He's about to turn 26.
Which is the perfect age.
22
Like,
days.
That's the perfect age for what the Raptors should be
20-something
getting.
days.
You have a midfield of like a 30-year-old Rubio, a
Ronan,
24-year-old
Dotson.
Ronan, and then Dotson at 20.
Oh,
You have that like
man.
perfect like.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really care about age so much as I care about what you've done that I can see on tape, that I can see, that I can point to, that I can look
Sure.
at.
Yeah.
You know, and like, I watch a lot of MLS. So whenever I watch Dotson, it's never like, oh, yikes, like this kid doesn't live up to his stats. No, he
Exceeds.
definitely exceeds his stats for sure.
He's at 1,400 minutes already this season. A goal, 2 assists. Obviously not his role to produce.
He scores bangers
goals,
though.
but,
You see his goals.
He
He's
is
a very, like, Ronan
86th
type.
percentile in
He will
non-penalty XG.
shoot. He
He
will
is
shoot.
87th percentile in shots per game. 90th percentile in successful take-ons, which is something I know you really like.
Yep.
And 78th percentile in touches in the attacking penalty area. So he's a defensive guy that can get up and make himself involved and still track back, which
He's
is
also a
something that I think a
creator.
lot of people love Bombi for. Not to just get totally sidetracked,
Right,
but when you
right.
see Bombi for Canada and he's in the box and then he's sprinting back like a freaking racehorse to cover on a counter,
Yep.
maybe he doesn't have to do as much of that if he bring in a guy like Dotson.
Dotson's also a great. He's a creator. He has that kind of that move where he can kind of just get the right pass at the right time and just keep going.
Right.
Which is something I really like. Dotson to me would be the dream. I think that guy would fit perfectly with this team.
Yeah, I mean,
like that again. But like,
I agree with you.
So like, how much are you paying for him? Like $1 million in GAM?
Transfer.
I don't even think so. I mean, I feel like you have value on, in the players you have, in the picks you have. I don't know why you can't just send a trade package their way. You know what I mean?
What do you think the trade package is? Like, from your opinion, again, you don't know.
He's in Minnesota, so what does Minnesota need?
They need some wingers.
They could use wingers and a center back.
So you give him Barrios for
I'll give him a
Dotson.
Bubakar.
Lawless and Barrios take a $1.2 million on his salary, and we'll take Dotson back. I think that sounds tight.
That's a rough sell, but I mean, like Abubakar. I mean, they don't have a strong. They've had their center backs kind of in and out. They have two really strong guys in Tapias and Boxall, and after that, their depth at center back is pretty rough. They have Brent Coleman there.
You could do like a Lawless plus Gam.
Yeah. That's what I would do. Anyways.
Or like a roster slot.
And Lawless could play. Lawless could be a starter on Minnesota is the thing. Like, it's not like,
Yeah. Lawless is going to go be a fan favorite anywhere. From where we sit up at the press box, you look down and see all the kit numbers, right? Because everyone's facing away from you. There's so many Lawless kits around. People love him.
That's cool.
And so that would suck to leave. But I probably see more Lawless kits than anyone else. But he goes somewhere, you can talk yourself. That's like a selling point on a Lawless transfer. Is this guy's going to come in? The team is going to love him. The players, the fans, the community. He's going to go in and help with, he's going to go help kids. He's going to be great.
You get more than just the on-field stuff.
Okay.
So call it into the league, baby.
Okay. So you sold me on Russell. You sold me on Dotson. Sold me on Brian Anunga.
Well, I think Anunga is the least proven of all of them, but I think what he can do is he can like, I think he's pre-so, but a lot sharper, a lot like polished. You know what I mean? And so his
26-year-old from Cameroon plays for Nashville.
He is a rotational guy. Yeah. You know what I mean? But
he's played 213 minutes over 10 appearances this season.
So he's kind of the closer, the defensive closer.
He's 94th percentile in pass completion, which is pretty sweet. 99th percentile in tackles, so literally no one tackles like he does. Does not block, does not clear. Okay on aerials, good at interceptions, good at take-ons. Not a great passer or shooter.
And aerials are kind of like whatever, because like Juan explained, you have two great defenders in the back that are great at aerials.
Right.
So,
but I mean, like, because we can transition into the Rockies run, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is what do they need? And I've always said there's only three things hindering this team right now, and that will hinder them next year if they don't address it. It's they don't have someone that can create dynamically, right? They have Galvan, but aside,
he gets pinned.
He plays too wide, so you either got to play him as a 10 or find someone else that will create a dynamic attack. There's no person to break up the play when the other team gets the ball. If you look at a lot of the goals we conceded, there's so much space allowed to them in the attacking third that if you just have Price there, if you have someone there sooner that's going to put in a tackle when the ball, you avoid those, outside the box goals, right? Mm-hmm. And then the last thing's finishing, right? Finishing has always been an issue for this team, except for when it wasn't last year.
Until now, because they got Nava goal, but like
so the hope is you've addressed one of the three,
right?
Yeah, and now
looking at that Rockies team, right? You had your core guys, right? You had Matt Holliday, Todd Helton, Tulo. You had Jeff
Tulo's
Francis.
the only one I know.
That's okay. You had Jeff Francis starting, but then you had guys who were playing, above their head a lot.
Jamie Carroll, one of my all-time favorite Rockies.
My guy, cousin. Just kidding. He's not. And then you have like a guy like Josh Fogg, right, who came in and kept beating aces in pitching matchups over and over.
He was
your ace. All about finding. Can the pieces you find play above their salary, right? Because right now players are all playing below their salary by a ton.
Yeah, by a whole lot.
So like, can you shed those guys? Can you get off? Let's see, 3 of Acosta, Lawless, Barrios. I guess that's it. Can you get rid of 2 of those 3?
And the thing is, we don't have to wait till the end of this season,
right,
for a trophy. Leagues Cup is
Leagues
right
Cup, baby.
there.
Leagues Cup
Like
champs.
Yaya laughs at it, but what other
We're
trophy
gonna win a trophy, baby.
does this team have to play for?
Dude, if you put my confidence at like what the Rapids can actually do in Leagues Cup,
Hey, they won more Open Cup games than either of us thought they would.
again,
Then that's the thing is
But- put them up against Tigres, put them up against LAFC.
But
give a shit.
wasn't the whole Rockies run? Wasn't the whole
I'm not
Rockies
scared of
run?
Tigres.
Wasn't the whole Rockies run? It's like defying the odds, right?
So,
if you
yes.
really want to run to defy the odds, win
They
Leagues Cup.
swept the Phillies, who had National League MVP. Then you swept the Diamondbacks, who won the division.
Right.
And then you had a bunch of time off and lost
So
to
you're
the
telling me
red hot
who-
Boston Red Sox. But
what would be a successful League Cups for you? What would make it? Because
Make
the
it
Rockies
out-
didn't. The
out
Rockies
of
didn't
group.
win. Rockies didn't win the World Series.
Past the first round.
Past the first
Get out of the group. And then because I don't rate Nashville like
interesting.
as a team, I think Hani Mukhtar
Is amazing.
Carrying the team on his back.
he is the team, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Take them out there, and they're just as bad. I mean, they've lost at home without him. You know,
I will say that without Gutman, I would have been like, oh, they're gonna kill us on the left side because Shuttleberg has been incredible this season.
Navajo scoring 6 goals in Leagues Cup.
that's and like the thing is like if we get a hot Rafa, if we get
Rafa.
those like contributions from the guys like Bombito and any guy
Gavon,
we bring in,
Harris,
you know, if we get those
Gold.
guys punching above their weight, I don't see why you couldn't make a deep run in Leagues Cup. You know,
We know
at the
who's
very
punching.
least.
top-
know who's punching below, right? Now it's time to rotate that, like Harris getting that start, and and maybe it's a Hanya that comes.
Dude,
up or whatever,
Hanya
and
goal
let
is
them
going to
have
score the game winner
opportunity.
in
Let
Leagues
them
Cup.
have
I
the
think he's out of
opportunity.
MLS minutes, or does it
No,
change?
he has
him?
to be promoted. He has to get a first team contract. He has to do
you have
what
to
they
get
did
rid
with-
of some players.
Has to do what
for-
they did with Chacon. But the lesson here is get rid of the dead weight, and that's kind of been our whole thing, right? Is cut the dead weight, let guys either have the chance to play above their low salaries or go find some more value guys because the roster is bloated in terms of money paid versus production.
I'm
Right.
not gonna lie, I'm kind of done with high value guys, and it's nothing
With
against,
what?
Looking for low.
Moneyball. You want to go spend the money.
Yeah, like
you want known quantity guys.
yes, I do.
What-
Whether that's scam, whether that's like actual money, like you have the funny money, get rid of it. Like
That's
go
true.
get a player
You
that's
are
actually
rich.
gonna help you like try to or
Well,
buy
isn't
down.
that what Rafa is?
Yeah, but like you need more than one position. That's
No,
the issue.
for sure.
And I don't need $5 million. I don't need you to spend $1 million.
I do.
Like no,
I
but like
seriously do.
not in every position. Like I'm okay if you go fine, but I'm done with these like, hey, you know
Shrewd
what?
moves.
Exactly. Like we think he can be a decent. Like give me a starter.
Well, this
Yeah.
Hoffa,
Spend
I mean,
$1 million
Hoffa,
in GAM and go get me a Grueso type of player.
Yeah.
Go get me somebody like that. You know, like I don't need you to go spend 300K in GAM on a
So-
rotation piece that might
so what
become
I'll
something.
say, and always has sort of been my thesis during this last month of talking about moves, is Kroenke loves to get a jersey guy. Always. Every few years when it gets bad, right? It was Howard. That's a jersey seller. Big time jersey seller. Casual person says, oh, Tim Howard. I can go see Tim Howard. Giassi Zardes, men's national team regular for a very long time. Very recognizable player. Has had success in the league. Brings him in. That's a jersey seller. I saw plenty of Zardes kits last year.
Mhm.
Plenty. So I don't think where you're thinking there is that far from how Kroenke operates when it comes to down times with the team.
Right.
So I think you're actually on track. I think we're sitting here like moneyballing guys from
Yeah.
different leagues and stuff. And in reality, you could see a name guy that's probably not in his, peak like Howard and Zardes,
Mhm.
but it is a guy that fans are gonna be like, oh, cool. I'll go pay $20 for a ticket and go watch this guy play.
Give me a winger with some like I would have loved Brian Rodriguez. Like if he would have been available.
No, that's not a name. No one
It's
knows
not
that
a name.
is. You know who people know that's damaged goods? Diego Lainez.
Diego Lainez is too expensive. His contract is. I'm not, dude. I want a Mexican. I told you this yesterday.
So I mean, at this
Like-
point, do you want to spend lucrative amounts or do you not? Because
No, because there's a middle ground, and what they're doing is doing like the low end, like they've been doing like the very low end
Right.
Gershbach, and I don't want that. I want a middle ground. I don't need the high Navarro. I don't need that like anymore. I'm okay with that. We got one guy.
But
in
didn't
that,
you say it's like not your money?
It's not my money.
So don't you want them to fucking
I
spend on
want
every
them to spend
position
money, but, like,
possible?
I don't need them to. That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking for something like logical from them. I don't need like if it were up to me, spend $10 million on 5 players and screw it. Let's try to go win everything we can. But that's not what we're gonna do. What I want.
Outbid Milan for Pulisic. Let's go.
Please don't do that. Let's go. But like, all I want is them to be able to like, hey, you know what? We're gonna spend $2 million in GAM. We're gonna spend another $1 million on a player. Use one of those U22 initiative spots because now you might have 2 open. Max still counts, but now you got Gus.
To the pits. What?
Hey, if you can work out with Madrid, like, hey, you know what? Can we get a loan until he turns 18? Like, because that's kind of what they're doing. These aren't gonna.
Well, I mean, I can't say like who they're gonna buy. I don't know who is incoming. I don't know who's outgoing. What I do know is those 3 things I laid out, and if they solve all those things, whether it is with a flashy guy, whether it is with a budget player, that's the 3 things you got to do. Is you got to break a play in the middle. And then find a creative outlet that's not just Galvan.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler Adams and Weston McKinnon are available.
Yeah.
God, Weston would be so dope. Oh, I love him so much.
You know, I think no matter what, like if we go on a Rockies run, it should be in Leagues Cup. I feel like people that think that this team's going to make it into the playoffs in our home win, we didn't even score from open play. You know, it was a corner and then a penalty. Okay, so like for as much as I like want to celebrate that win, it's like it's still very much like the same habits, the same style, the same identity that just has not been working the past couple of months.
Navajo coming in changes what's on the field. Bombi coming back from international duty with minutes expectations changes what's on the field. Rubio coming back from injury, maybe ever.
If there was no Leagues Cup, I don't think I'd be here. Is the thing, you know what I mean?
But that's kind of going back to like.
Wrap this up.
And I'm okay with the name, big name. Like if you want to do that for marketing, go ahead. To me, I want you to look at a player like a Santiago Moreno. Go get a guy that's going to be productive and can get you something that's going to be a baller. He doesn't have to be a name.
So you think jersey sales, but from the Mexican national team?
No, I don't even.
Let's go.
Santiago Moreno. It's the
Colombia.
Timber.
Colombia.
Colombia.
Sorry.
Yeah, not Santi Jimenez.
I was thinking.
Yeah, you're thinking Santi.
I was mixing up 2 different first name and last names. Yeah.
But I just want him to get a productive guy because no matter like jersey sales, whatever, the one way you get asses in those seats is if you have a good product out on the pitch. If you start producing something worthwhile. I don't need you to sell jerseys because you're going to make money if you have people in those seats because they're going to get to know the players. Totally. That's something that happened in 2021. They got to know the players. Jack Price became a little bit of a household name with Rapids fans and people that were just interested in soccer in Colorado because he was really good. Right. I'm willing to pay some money for
no way.
For Santiago Moreno and GAM, like go ahead, spend the $2 million, like break a record. I don't care. You have a bunch of it, like spend it, like because he's a player that's gonna make you better. He's gonna be somebody that's gonna help you win. When I say I'm willing to spend the money, GAM, spend it all. I don't care. GAM to me is like
it's funny money.
Exactly, funny money. Yeah. Go spend that. And if you're gonna go out of market and go to try to spend money on like out in Europe, out in South America, I don't need you to spend $4 million. Spend $1 million. Spend $800K. Like spend 1.5 money, but get somebody that doesn't have to be a big name. Somebody that's gonna contribute to this team and help you win and build something. Like I used to be all in for the hey, let's promote, like, and I still kind of am, but I want a lot more winning than I do because the only thing that's gonna get asses in those seats, it's winning. Valid. Winning creates the best culture, creates the best fans, and creates the most hype you'll ever get anywhere.
Okay, so let me ask you guys this, and we'll kind of end on this when we get to plugs and stuff because we're already at an hour 10 almost.
Really?
Yeah, we're flying right now.
Yeah, that's why I brought up the Rockies thing. I was like,
I didn't even mention Matthew. I see your question. We'll definitely talk about more of that, but to ask that after the hour mark, we can't get into it right now. We can't give it the time and attention it deserves, but that's a good question. When you look at window closes August 5th, right? That is in Leagues Cup
11:59 p.m.
At 11:59 p.m. or whatever time it is. Isn't it a weirder time? Isn't it like 4 p.m. or 6 p.m. or something like that?
Because then it's like Eastern time, and then like all that shit.
When you guys look back at this window, because I do think last window, even with the Cabral thing, I do think that was a good window, right? This window, are you going to look back at this window and say, good, yes, positive, right direction? I guess I'm just asking, predict your reactions to this window.
I mean,
over the next couple weeks.
I don't think you can really predict it until you get to see the actual player.
Okay, well,
you know what I mean?
Defeats the purpose of my question.
Okay. But the thing is, like, even like I don't know, like,
I guess are you so ruined by the sins of the past that you can't expect a good window here?
well, if
what
this
I mean?
window is for Leagues Cup, then yes, I'm excited, right?
Just
If
fully
it's-
go for the
Yes, because that's a way into CCL. And the thing is, like, we've been in CCL a lot more than we haven't been in the past 5 years. You know what I mean? Surprisingly, but I think Gutman has already been the best piece we've brought in this year. So by that alone, it's already been an A. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So whoever comes, I was not expecting the Brazilian Rafa Nueve. So when he came, that's kind of like a cherry on top. Still don't know enough about him, but a cherry's still sweet. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, cool.
Totally.
So got to see who they bring in, but already I think you could bring in like 5 of the worst players, and I wouldn't care because you got Andrew Gutman. You know,
And Rafa,
To
too.
me, it's a good one, regardless, because even though we don't know, it feels like there's a commitment to try to spend some money and try to get players, which I'm always for. Even the optics of it feels like they're willing to
right?
spend.
But,
That
you
to
know-
me, it motivates me. It makes it feel like a good window, honestly. Even if they turn out to be complete utter shit and they don't be good, like Andrew Gutman doesn't work out. He just had one good game, and Rafa Gold never does anything.
Scores
again.
just one goal.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
At
Scores a
least-
hat trick. The
Exactly.
Overreaction podcast.
Exactly. And like at that point,
emergency pod.
at that point, you just feel like it's like, okay, at least they're willing to spend money. So if
Right.
it didn't work now, you still have that money technically. You can go try again.
I think I speak for all fans when I say I'll see it, I'll believe it when I see it.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's
So-
not more like that's why I say it's more like the optics. It's not like because we don't know their philosophy. Even if they tell us we're doing this, we don't know because they can
Right.
be completely something different. But optics wise, I look at it and I'm like, okay, I see a $5 million price tag on this guy, which shows me that you guys are willing to start experimenting like other MLS teams and willing to spend some money like everybody else in this league.
Right.
And that's all I care about. You're giving me the optics that it feels good. And that's
Okay.
all I want.
I like that. Juanners, thank you for
Of course.
another edition of Juanners Week.
Yes.
It's your birthday on Saturday. If
Oh,
you see
yeah.
Juanners at the game,
Yes.
give him a high five and
And
tell
a
him
beer.
happy birthday.
Give him a
and
high five
beer.
and a kiss. And don't
Yeah,
be shy. He
yeah.
likes kisses.
Give him a sweet kiss on the cheek. And then tell us where people can find you. All your stuff.
At Juanners 715. I forgot to plug C38. I forgot last night, but at
Jared's gonna be mad.
at
dude.
C38SG Centennial 38.
Listen to the C38 pod. They're awesome.
when we get to it, yeah.
When they put out episodes, they are awesome.
But yeah, you can follow me at those two. Got some other stuff in the works. Hopefully, can
You betting
unveil
stuff?
soon. No, some other stuff.
Got it.
Yeah,
Love
I
it.
know.
Yeah, I talked to Yaya about it, but
I
If
will.
you know, you know.
Off air. That's an off air discussion. Sorry, folks. Yeah.
DNMV_Rapids on Twitter. Follow us there. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Soon to be Threads. Actually, don't know about that, but I'll always plug it. 5-star review wherever you listen to it. Whether that be on podcast,
Blue Sky Social. Yeah.
Spotify, like all that fun stuff.
you guys
Give
are on
this-
Blue Sky.
No.
Oh, I
Give
was
us
like,
a-
no way.
Also, that one person that gives us thumbs down. Why? Don't be mean. Give us a 5-star review wherever you hear us. Spotify,
Yeah, what the
Stitcher,
hell?
and give us a thumbs up to make up for that thumbs down. That really helps us out. And I think that's it for us.
Yeah, like and subscribe on YouTube. Get your diehard membership to the DNVR.
Get your Shady Rays,
Get
go
your
to
Shady
Legal
Rays,
Pete's.
Go to Legal Pete's. Go
With
to
your
Kind
Shady
Love.
Rays.
Go drink a Breck Brew. If you get hurt in an accident, call Backus and Shanker. Let's see. I think that's gonna do it for us.
They took the down
Yeah! We
If
love
you
whoever
ask,
that
you
was.
will receive.
Love
okay?
that. Thank you. Blessings.
Mbappe, please.
Um,
Mbappe, please.
Yeah, Mbappe. That's going to do it for us. We will see you post game on Saturday. And you know what that means, baby. Up the pits.
Woo.